And just take a look at this image. This is the African elephant, the largest land animal. And now look at this image. This is the blue whale, the largest creature in the ocean, which, in comparison, makes the African elephant look as small as its tail. In fact, why stop at the blue whale? This giant jellyfish, can you believe it, is equal to the size of 10 elephants. And this creature is as big as 4 elephants. Finally, look at the length of this oarfish. All these marine creatures are far more massive than land creatures. Clearly, the ocean provides some advantages to its inhabitants that land creatures don't seem to have. Did you know that about 150 million years ago, the story was the complete opposite? Back then, land animals were much larger than marine creatures. Some were literally the size of a 6-floors building. So, the question arises, what changes have occurred on Earth over the last 150 million years that have shifted this advantage from land creatures to marine creatures? To answer this question, in the year 2023, researchers from Brazil's Seated University, led by Philip Silva and his team, conducted a study on sea creatures. For this, they focused on 19 species of marine mammals whose size typically exceeds 10 meters. Now, why specifically marine mammals? The reason is that Phillips and his team knew that a total of 9 genes are responsible for growth in all mammals on Earth. Permutations and combinations of any 2 of these 9 genes are also found in land mammals. Moreover, comparing mammals with mammals would provide a more accurate benchmark for understanding the reason behind growth in water. Therefore, Phillips and his team chose 19 marine mammals and started analyzing these 9 growth-related genes. Are you curious about what results they found? Surprisingly, they discovered that all 19 marine mammals had combinations of at least 4 of these 9 genes active at a time, unlike land mammals, which only had combinations of 2 genes. This clearly indicates that the combined effects of these 4 genes contribute to marine mammals being significantly larger than their land counterparts. Now, the question arises, why do mammals need these extra growth genes when they enter the water? Why are they activating 4 genes instead of 2? What exactly is the reason behind this evolution? To uncover this, when my team and I conducted research and referred to past studies on marine creatures, we came across a very interesting finding. We discovered a study suggesting that a specific gas, found in greater quantities in the depths of the ocean, is responsible for the large size of sea creatures. In fact, in a study conducted in 1999, biologist Gotthard Chappell and his team collected prawns from various water bodies and compared the sizes of around 1,800 prawn species. Upon comparison, they observed that some prawns were nearly 6 times larger than others. To understand the reason behind this, they began studying the habitats of these larger prawns, specifically their living environments and conditions. What they found was extremely fascinating. They observed that the smaller prawns lived in shallow waters, while the larger prawns were all from deep-sea habitats. Further research concluded that deep-sea water is significantly colder, which allows more oxygen to dissolve in it compared to surface waters. This oxygen is the key factor aiding in the growth of prawn sizes in deeper waters. Now, I know you might be wondering, what's the connection between oxygen and size? Well, it's quite significant. Gotthard Chappell's research revealed a simple but critical insight. Fishes breathe using their gills, we all know that. Gills are the organs that help fish absorb oxygen from water. Since colder water contains more oxygen, over time, fish in these environments developed larger gills to absorb this excess oxygen. As the body's cells receive more oxygen, their metabolism becomes faster and more efficient, promoting muscle growth. Ultimately, this leads to a cycle. More oxygen supports larger gills, which then require a larger body to accommodate them. And a larger body, in turn, demands even more oxygen, leading to even bigger gills. By referencing both studies, it can finally be concluded that genetics and the higher levels of oxygen present in deep-sea water are the 2 main factors contributing to the unusually large sizes of marine creatures. Oh, but the story doesn't end here. There was one key aspect that Phillips' research overlooked. So far, we've only discussed fish. What about underwater mammals? As Phillips' research was published, Andy Turco, a researcher from the University of Guelph in Canada, identified a major loophole in the findings. It makes sense that fish grow larger due to their gills, but the largest creature in the ocean, the blue whale, is a mammal, not a fish. Blue whales don't breathe underwater. They come to the surface to breathe and then dive back down. So how could just 2 extra genes compared to land mammals result in such a massive size difference? To address this loophole, Andy Turco and his team launched an independent research study. This time, they decided to focus on creatures that can live both in water and on land to better understand the size differences. For their study, they chose the mangrove rivulus, an amphibian species capable of living both in water and on land, much like frogs. This unique characteristic made it an ideal candidate for their investigation. They essentially divided these amphibious fishes into two groups. One was kept in water for 2 weeks, while the other was kept on land, to observe how the environment affected them. And in my opinion, this study beautifully demonstrated how biology is influenced by physics. After the 2 weeks, Andy Turco observed that the fish kept on land had significantly thicker and stiffer spines compared to those kept in water. This only happens when an organism regularly experiences higher gravitational forces. But gravity on Earth is more or less the same everywhere, right? It's not like the fish on land were experiencing extra gravity. So, what exactly changed between the two environments? Well, if I give you a small hint, you might be able to figure it out yourself. Tell me, if you throw a tennis ball and a stone into water, what do you think will happen? Obviously, the stone will sink, and the tennis ball will float. This happens because anything submerged in water displaces a volume of water equal to its weight, and in return, the water pushes the object upward with a force called buoyancy. This very force gives marine creatures an extra advantage. It grants them the freedom to grow unnaturally large, because if an elephant were to grow as large as a blue whale, no matter how thick its bones were, the air's lack of buoyancy wouldn't support it against gravity the way water supports blue whales. This buoyancy is what helps marine animals handle their massive sizes. Besides, the average density of marine creatures is around 1,075 kilograms per cubic meter, while the average density of seawater is 1,026 kilograms per cubic meter. This means that most marine creatures, like stones, are actually heavier than water. To stay afloat like a tennis ball, they evolve certain adaptations that reduce their effective weight relative to water. This is another reason why their body size needs to increase. For example, squids produce ammonium-rich fluids in their bodies, which are lighter than water and help them float. Sharks produce a substance called squalene in their livers, which serves a similar purpose. Teleost fishes fill their swim bladders with air to maintain buoyancy. To produce these special types of fluids and gases, marine creatures obviously require specialized buoyancy organs. And to accommodate these organs, they need extra space in their bodies, often leading to significantly larger sizes compared to land creatures. By addressing the gaps in Philip's research, Andy Turco successfully proved that the abnormal size growth of marine creatures is primarily driven by 3 factors. Number 1. Genetic makeup. Number 2. The high levels of dissolved oxygen in the ocean. No 3. The interplay of gravity and buoyancy. This balance of forces gives marine creatures a distinct advantage, allowing their sizes to grow far beyond those of land animals. But then again, these 3 reasons don't explain what was so different on Earth 150 million years ago that some land creatures were twice the size of today's blue whales, while the largest aquatic creatures of that time were only as big as today's African elephants. When we researched this further, we discovered that the dominant creatures on Earth at that time, the dinosaurs, were primarily cold-blooded. This means they absorbed heat from their surroundings to keep their bodies warm, unlike mammals, which need to expend energy to regulate their body temperature. During that period, the Earth had significantly higher levels of carbon dioxide, which led to a rapid growth of plants. This provided herbivorous dinosaurs like sauropods with an abundance of energy to grow larger. At the same time, the high levels of carbon dioxide caused a greenhouse effect, trapping more solar energy in the atmosphere. This created a perfect formula that favored the growth of large land creatures. In contrast, cold-blooded aquatic creatures missed out on this advantage because the cooling effect of water countered the greenhouse conditions. In simple terms, friends, we can say that every organism on this planet comes into existence with a body akin to clay, and nature acts as the potter, shaping that clay into forms best suited for the needs of the time. However, just like clay, the bodies of organisms also come with their own weaknesses and limitations. Just like clay cannot withstand extreme heat or cold, the bodies of organisms also cannot endure extreme temperatures. This is why, under such extreme conditions, they crack or fail, much like a clay model. Around 200 million years ago, such extreme conditions occurred, leading to a mass extinction event in which 19% of the world's species became extinct. But as they say, life never stops. Following this extinction, certain creatures emerged that quickly took over the entire planet. Yes, I'm talking about dinosaurs, who ruled the Earth for nearly 150 million years. That's all for today's video, friends. If you've ever wondered about this topic and found it clarified through this video, don't forget to give it a like. See you soon in the next video. Until then, goodbye.